In this lesson, we're going to discuss the language of algebra. So the first things first, in order to talk about algebra and really work with these things, we have to know what some of these words mean. So for example, we need to know what a variable is. A variable is a letter that represents a number whose value may change. So it varies. So we usually use X and Y, but we can also use A, B, C, and really any other letter. However, some letters do work better than others. For example, S is not a super great letter to use if you can avoid it because it tends to look like a 5. So just choose wisely if you get to make the choice. Another thing that you're going to have to know is a constant. A constant is a number that does not change. All right, so of course that's why it's called a constant because it's constantly that number. All right, and so that is going to be just a plain old number. It usually won't have a letter with it. Now, another term we need to know is expression. An expression is a number, a variable, some combination thereof that uses operation symbols. Okay, so you can see we have some examples here. 3 plus 5 is an expression. N minus 1 is an expression because we have variables and constants that are having some sort of operations. Operations will be adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, things along those lines. On the other hand, we can also have something that is an equation. An equation is made up of two expressions that are connected by an equal sign. So that is actually different than an expression. So if I ask you to simplify an expression, I am not asking you to find a value of x. All right. However, if I'm asking you to solve an equation, you would find a value of x probably. So again, an equation has an equal sign, an expression does not. So let's take a look at an example. In this equation, all right, 4x minus 3y equals 2, what are the variables? What are the constants? Now again, I know this happens to be an equation because 4x minus 3y is an expression, 2 is an expression, and there's an equal sign between them. Now, the variables again are those letters that represent a number that could change. So x and y are both variables in this case. The constants are the ones that don't change. So here we have the numbers 4, 3, and 2. Well, what about these? Which ones are expressions? Which ones are equations? Well, if we look at A, x plus 3 does not have an equal sign, but it is a combination of variables and constants with an operation between. So x plus 3 is a variable plus a constant. So that makes it an expression. In part B, we have an equation because we have an expression n minus 4, another expression n plus 7, and they're connected by an equal sign. In part C, we have another equation. That's because we have an equal sign with the two expressions on either side. And last but not least, part D, we have another expression. Because this does not have an equal sign, it is just a combination of variables and constants with an operation, which in this case is multiplication. So that's our intro to language of algebra.